My name is Manoj Chugh, and it is my great honor and pleasure to be back with you in the fourth of the series of TechVision that I am very honored to do with Express Computers again. I've been long enough in the IT industry, and hopefully you're enjoying the series. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic which is close to all our hearts, and that is about people. It is about talent. We're going to spend several minutes in looking at what are the various ways in which we can develop and retain IT talent. I can say very honestly that from my various discussions with CIOs and CXOs, almost inevitably the discussion moves and meanders to talent. And it is becoming very evident that a well-established, well-executed employee retention strategy is a key competitive differentiator. And I think as companies, try and hold on to their talent, it is incredibly important because it has profound ramifications on their ability to operate at a superior level. We all know that there is a talent shortage, particularly in areas where huge growth is expected. And almost every study is telling us that recruiting tech talent is becoming more and more difficult. We also know that the work environment is changing, the rise of artificial intelligence, and we'll spend time separately on this on some other day, coupled with the new generation of consumers who desire more personal, intuitive brand experiences. These are forcing companies to rethink their approach to talent management and acquisition. I think what is also a big driver is changing customer needs. And in fact, that is also forcing organizations to think about new ways of reinventing their businesses. In fact, you'll be surprised that creating new businesses has in effect become one of the top 5 strategic priorities for most companies. And we are expecting 25% of future revenue to come in from these new businesses that are going to be built over the next 5 years. And what are these businesses going to be depending on for their success? Believe it or not, they are going to depend on their ability to build and retain a deep tech bench with skill sets in areas such as, and all of you know this, just for the sake of completeness, automation, cloud, customer experience, cybersecurity, data management, DevOps, and platforms. Therefore, developing robust people and talent strategies is going to be amongst the highest value actions a business can take. But before getting into the other factors, apart from compensation, which we know is very key, let us take a few minutes to begin at the very beginning. And I think that the journey of retaining talent actually begins at the time of recruiting. It is critical at that juncture to understand the track record of a potential employee and to spend the time that you need to through the interview process. Looking for longevity with the firms that the candidate has worked with in the past is a good indicator. The value systems which are important to the candidate and cultural fit have to be clearly determined. It is also important to understand what is it exactly that's going to make this candidate tick. You believe that your own organization can offer that sense of fulfillment to the candidate over a period of time. I do understand many times we are just desperate, and in the anxiety of bringing in a technically sound or a capable candidate on board, just tend to ignore many of the factors which actually are, I would say, blaring red signals in front of us, just because we just need that headcount come what may within a period of time because HR has put a gun to our head. And therefore, we start to ignore the evaluation to understand whether that employee is going to be the right one for our organization and whether we would be able to provide the right level of motivation and opportunity in the long term. Whilst hiring from college campuses, I think we should look at data. And the data will tell us based on all the hirings that we've done from the past, which college campuses that we have visited regularly, have we found the students to be a good fit for our culture and our organization? And you can easily figure that out by looking at the performance after they've joined the business. So many times, data can help us make the right decisions as well. Also, we should study very carefully exit interviews. And we must understand as to why employees who have left have gone. What is the reason for their disillusionment? Because that will then also help us to come out with the right tactics and strategies to hold on to the rest of the employees who are still with us. In fact, it is not a big surprise that 1/3 of the employees attribute their disillusionment to an unsupportive management. And listen to this carefully, a lack of development opportunity. So while we know that a well-structured compensation program is important to incentivize employees to stay in the business, to grow in the business, and to continue in the business, I can only tell you that is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. Beyond compensation, the importance of non-wage components is equally important. And what I'd like to do is spend the next few minutes to talk about 10 areas where perhaps you could focus and which could improve employee retention. I just want to say that there is no silver bullet. We have to do many, many things right to make sure that we are a great employer, a great place where people will want to be and stay for the long term. The first one I'd like to begin with, and no surprises, no secret mantra on this one. It is around workplace flexibility. The pandemic has certainly taught all of us that remote working is possible and can be very productive. However, post the pandemic, this has become a tricky balance to strike because many of us are asking employees to come back on a full-time basis. And there is absolute merit in terms of making that request. We know that when people are together in a specific work environment, their ability to collaborate, to think, to brainstorm, and therefore to deliver outcomes is superior. However, we've also learned during the pandemic that decoupling of the completion of tasks from the traditional 5-day work week is possible. We have all demonstrated success in this new model. And therefore, what we have to accept is that with the rise of remote and hybrid working in the overall environment and modularized work, the way we can set our goals can be done in a fashion where we can offer a flexible work environment to our employees. And I think that will give us the dual benefit of not just attracting, but also retaining talent. So I would say seriously consider workplace flexibility, particularly for those organizations which have insisted on employees coming back to the office on a full-time basis. The second very important area, but I would say many organizations very shy to talk about it in a very open and candid fashion. And I am putting it very high on the priority, is the employees' mental health and wellness. Given the work pressures and expectations, you will be surprised that 1 in 3 employees is experiencing symptoms of burnout. People do not accept this reality. Many employees will not come out in the open and share this, but this is very much proven. And therefore, by providing tailored support to serve employee needs in a safe and confidential manner, providing an opportunity for the workforce through a listening post, through people who are trained in this area, I think will help us in creating an environment where employees will thrive and prosper. And particularly in technology areas where things are changing very, very fast and leadership and management expectations are rising by the day because technology has now become the core of the business itself. I think this is causing much more anxiety now than ever before. So therefore, please don't brush this under the carpet. Prioritize employees' mental health and their wellness. The third area, which has been very close to my heart for many years, is creating an effective training and development program. It is very important to build a learning organization. And all of us will agree that when we are designing systems for our customers, we often lean on user-centered design principles. Don't we do that? That's how we begin a project. But what happens when it comes to our own teams, training and their own development? Do we use a similar employee-centered design principle? And I would strongly like to urge you to do this. While physical training is often necessary when teaching people new skills, I think it is only the first step. It is often seen that impactful development also occurs through, I would say, less formal programs, through on-the-job learning opportunities within the workplace itself. So it is important to create that learning environment. And we understand well that empathy and understanding of fundamental principles of user-centered design. That's what we are taught. And I think just as a business must understand what its customers need to produce the most useful products, managers must understand what their employees need to give them ideal learning opportunities. So your question to me would be, Manoj, that sounds great theoretically, but how does one go about the process? Well, asking questions is the best way to start. And we do that when we do user-centered design principles and we use them with our customers. So what do? We start asking questions. To kickstart the process, I'd like to strongly urge that you schedule regular one-on-one meetings with each team member and do that in a calendarized fashion. These sessions, in addition to, of course, checking on the status of the current project, because that's uppermost on our mind, we are anxious about that, by all means do that, but please spend time to ask them about what skills they are most comfortable with. What is it that they would like to develop? And come from a place of genuine curiosity rather than judgment and say, oh, I don't think this guy has the ability to learn all this. So I think one good suggestion I'd like to give is that please make sure that you are, as you are doing this, following the old techniques. And what are the old techniques? The old techniques are to take notes. And once you start doing that, the employee will also feel a lot more comfortable in terms of the fact that you are genuinely interested in meeting their needs. And when you start looking at skills, they could include very personal skills like communication skills, or could be very pragmatic, job-related, which would be perhaps like learning a new technology. I think it is important to send a message that people are valued and you're willing to give them the time and space to flourish. Please, please, please help your employees effectively upskill and reskill outside the formal training programs and through their everyday work experiences. And of course, if somebody is lesser experienced, you can provide them opportunities where they can participate in projects, where they can learn from more experienced peers. That's a great starting point. But for employees, who have a lot of experience, provide them bigger opportunities. Give them opportunities where they have to take risks, where they have to stretch, where they have to go beyond their comfort zones. And I think you then give them the opportunity of perhaps testing themselves in what you could call a controlled environment. So I would say, allow experienced folks to experiment with autonomy. And I think pushing the more experienced folks to the edge of discomfort results in real development. And my own experiences have taught me that the best leaders who have emerged from my team in later years are the ones who are really pushed to that edge. And I can tell you, you will get huge rewards. Finally, we need to look at millennials and Gen Z because Gen Zers crave career and professional development. And several studies have shown that 80% or more of them would leave a company that doesn't offer personal development opportunities. So investing in your employees' education can certainly help in terms of retaining talent. Let me quickly move to the other mantras. The fourth is providing regular feedback. And I think this is a very valuable aspect in a process which starts by setting clear expectations. As your team continues to carry out on-the-job opportunities, as the leader, please provide regular feedback to them on where they are doing well and importantly, areas where they need to improve. Scheduling calendarized meetings, perhaps once a quarter, to give them regular feedback is great. Again, during this meeting, have a reflective conversation. Be patient. Discuss both successes and failures. Importantly, do that without judgment. And if an employee is trying something new and it doesn't work out, recognize the effort. Don't take a stick and start beating up the employee. People are likely to grow from and learn from their experience when they are not punished for failure. Rather, they are encouraged to try more going forward in the future. The fifth suggestion I'd like to give is around having a formal coaching and mentoring program. Many leaders believe that the onus of doing this is entirely on them as their manager. And before jumping in to taking on the load fully on your own, please assess how much bandwidth you really have, because you've got a busy day and schedule and week and year. So keep in mind that not all coaching and mentoring has to come from you. You may be able to distribute this to other colleagues within the team who could become informal mentors, could be other managers, could be senior leaders, could be peers. So therefore, don't take the entire burden on your own. Look around and see if there are friends and colleagues within the organization and other teammates who are willing to step in and help. Everyone likes to coach and mentor, and you should certainly use this opportunity well. My sixth suggestion is around an area which we talk about day in and day out, and that is artificial intelligence. If we put AI to work when it comes to developing and retaining talent, can we not leverage the silver bullet, to help retain talent as an example? And why do I say so? Organizations today have incredible amounts of employee data, which is collected over the years. This data can be used, it can be massaged to identify who could be the next candidate who's likely to leave. You know the reasons why people have been jumping ship. You know the trend lines, and therefore, before such a catastrophe occurs, you can perhaps step in and try and prevent that. After all, we spend all the time in terms of stopping customer churn. We need to use and leverage technology to do the same, for our own employees as well. The seventh mantra, which has worked very well for me through my career, is cultivating a culture of communication and transparency. I remember many years ago, one of my colleagues, a great technical whiz kid, came to me and said, Manoj, I wake up in the morning every day, I work very hard, but I don't know the work that I'm doing, whether it has any meaning for the organization, for the community, or for society at large. And therefore, I think I am leading a meaningless existence. And that was an introspective moment for me. And therefore, it set me on the path of turning around and saying that I needed to create a culture where employees are included in all aspects of the company, even if they are technical experts. Do they really understand the company's goals, our plans, our strategies, our challenges, and provide an environment where they feel safe to ask the questions, where you can then give them honest feedback and help them to connect the tasks that they're doing on a day in and day out basis to the larger cause, the larger purpose that the organization is attempting. The eighth one is recognizing good work. Please remember, there is a difference between rewards and recognition. Sometimes we tend to confuse the two. Recognition is intended to provide a more intrinsic psychological benefit. A reward tends to be more materialistic, more financial, and related to those kind of things. I can tell you recognition works wonders. It can be as simple as giving an employee a pat on the back, or when someone does good work, to request everyone on the team to stand up from their chairs for 30 seconds and to applaud and cheer for somebody who's done a great job. Acknowledging their work is incredibly important. Another thing you could do is on the work anniversary of employees, stand up, take about 30 seconds, 60 seconds, acknowledging the contribution of the employee over the last 1 year, thanking the employee for putting in the extra hours on a specific project or on a task, or maybe recognizing them and saying, great job done. Why don't you take your afternoon off, go spend the time with the family, and highlight the outstanding performance that they have contributed to over the last year that they have been with the firm. So please recognize good work. Recognition is more important than thinking about a complicated rewards program. The ninth one is creating individual development plans. An IDP is a great tool. Many times it's an outcome of an appraisal process. I find that in many organizations, it is not taken seriously, but I think this is incredibly important because this is the formal process through which you have the opportunity to identify how colleagues are going to, over a period of time, look at their careers, look at their goals, the areas where they want to get skilled. They have the opportunity to convey to their employers, their interests, and therefore the organization can also invest in their professional growth, which I'm sure will help to build trust and loyalty. So please make sure that not only do you seriously, look at an individual development plan, but also carry that forward from an implementation point of view. The last but not least of all is, please, for heaven's sake, look at providing cross-training opportunities to employees. Many people come and tell me that they want to contribute to the larger organization, but are just not getting the opportunity. I think cross-training provides opportunities to learn new skills outside the normal day-to-day role. And this can keep employees stimulated and reduce boredom. And of course, cross-trained employees feel much more valuable, much more secure in their role in the organization. And this results in increased morale, productivity, and engagement. We have to recognize that people are multidimensional. We need to support the whole person, whether that's through flexibility at the workplace, a wide range of benefits, financial stability, meaningful projects, training, skilling, development. We need to look at the individual as a holistic human being. When employees are supported at every stage of their career, they feel valued and appreciated by their leaders. They are confident in terms of their ability to achieve their goals and are more likely to stay in the organization. So my last few words on this one: create the right culture, and this will translate into higher job satisfaction, productivity, and engagement. Wish you all tremendous success and all the very best. Thank you.